Have you ever thought about a business setup where one person has all the control and all the risk, while someone else just puts in the money and is totally shielded from any fallout? Well, that's exactly what a limited partnership is all about. Today, we're going to break down how this powerful structure works. It's this amazing mix of high-stakes management and super safe investment. So if you've ever tried to figure out that perfect balance between risk and reward, you're in the right place. Okay, let's dive right in. The law gives us the blueprint from the get-go. A limited partnership, it needs at least two kinds of people, general partners and limited partners. But here's the kicker, the line that changes everything. Limited partners are not bound by the obligations of the partnership. That one little phrase, that's the magic right there. It's the foundation for this whole risk and reward system we're about to unpack. So to make this super clear, let's think of it like this. The general partner, that's the driver. They've got their hands on the steering wheel, they're making the decisions, they're actively running the business. But, and this is a big but, with all that power comes unlimited liability. If things go south, they're on the hook for everything. Then you've got the limited partner. We'll call them the investor. They're the ones providing the fuel, the cash, to get the car moving. And in exchange for staying out of the driver's seat, their liability is safely limited. So how does this whole thing work from start to finish? Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the basics of what a limited partnership is, then we'll get into how you actually build one. After that, we'll dive deep into the two types of partners, lay out the really important rules of the game, and finally, look at how you wrap things up. It's the whole life cycle. So there you have it, our fundamental blueprint. It's a business that's built on this really crucial balance. You've got the driver with all the control and all the risk, and on the other side, the investor who brings the cash with very limited risk. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty of how you actually make one of these things real. All right, so you found your driver, you found your investor. The idea is brilliant. How do you take that handshake deal and turn it into a real, official business that the law actually recognizes and protects? Let's get into the mechanics. Well, Article 1844 actually makes it pretty simple. It's just a two-step process. First, everybody involved has to sign and swear to a certificate. Think of this like the partnership's birth certificate. Then, step two, you file that document with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Boom, you do that, you're officially business. And this certificate, it's not just some piece of paper, it's basically the partnership's constitution. It has to spell everything out, from the business's name, which by law has to have the word limited in it, all the way to who's who, how much cash each investor is putting in, and even how long the partnership is going to exist. Getting these details right is absolutely non-negotiable, because this is the document everyone will refer back to. Now, this next point really just hammers home that clean line between our two roles. The law is so clear on this. The investor, our limited partner, can contribute cash or property. But what can't they contribute? Services. Their own time and labor are off the table. Why? Because that's the job of the driver, the general partner who's actually running the show. Okay, so we know who does what. Now let's see how this all actually plays out. The law is really careful to define the exact powers, rights, and limits for both the driver and the investor. It's all about keeping that crucial balance of power and protection. What's so interesting here is how the duties are separated. Yeah, the general partner runs the business, but look, they can't just do anything they want. They can't do something that makes the business impossible to run or bring in new partners without everyone's okay. Meanwhile, the limited partners have these crucial oversight rights. They can look at the books, get all the info they need, and of course, get their share of the profits. They can't drive the car, but they have every right to check the map and make sure there's gas in the tank. And get this, here's a fascinating little twist in the law. A single person can actually wear both hats. You can be a driver and an investor in the very same partnership. So what that means is, you'd have the full unlimited liability that comes with being a general partner, but you'd also have the separate rights and protections of a limited partner for the capital you invested. Pretty cool, right? So it's one thing to have these different roles, but how do you make sure people actually stick to them? Well, the law sets up some very strict rules of the road. And they're not just there to protect the partners from each other, they're also there to protect outsiders who are doing business with them. This brings us to probably the most important question in any limited partnership. Where exactly is the line? At what point does an investor cross that line and start acting like a driver? And more importantly, what happens when they do? The law's answer is actually pretty simple, but don't let that fool you. The line is crossed when a limited partner, quote, takes part in the control of the business.
It's just a few words, but man, they carry so much weight because the consequences are absolutely huge. And here it is, maybe the biggest rule in this whole setup. If an investor grabs the steering wheel, they instantly get saddled with the full, unlimited liability of the driver. That legal shield, the whole reason they became a limited partner, it just vanishes. That's the ultimate price for stepping out of your lane.
The rules even get down to what you can name the business. Seriously, you can't put a limited partner's last name in the company name. Why? Because you might mislead people into thinking they're a general partner, that they're one of the people in charge. And if you break that rule, you become just as liable as a general partner to any creditor who is fooled by the name. And the law demands total honesty right from the beginning. It's crystal clear. If you knowingly put something false in that founding certificate, you are personally on the hook for any money someone loses because they relied on that bad information. That foundation has to be rock solid. No exceptions. Of course, no business lasts forever. So what happens when it's time to hang it up? The law doesn't just leave it up in the air. There's a very clear, orderly process for winding things down and making sure everybody gets what they're owed. So a huge trigger for ending the partnership is losing a general partner. If the driver retires, passes away, or goes broke, the partnership legally dissolves. That's it. The only way around it is if it was planned for in the original certificate, or if every single member agrees to keep going. The life of the partnership is literally tied to its leader. And when it's time to pay out all the money, there is a strict pecking order. First, and this is the most important part, outside creditors get paid. The business has to pay its debts to the rest of the world before anyone on the inside gets a penny. Next up, the limited partners. First, they get their profits, and then they get their original investment back. Only after the investors and the outsiders are paid in full do the drivers, the general partners, start getting their money back. And the final step? Well, it brings us full circle. Just like you needed a certificate to start the partnership, you need a formal cancellation to end it. It's not just paperwork. It's the official act that closes the book on the business and lets everyone move on. So after all of this whole complex structure really boils down to one simple but powerful question. And it's a question every potential investor has to ask themselves. Is the incredible safety of having limited liability truly worth the price of giving up all control? That trade-off, that's not just a part of the limited partnership. It is the limited partnership.